So let's shift from in-character concerns to slightly more out-of-character concerns. Talk about your clan's disciplines, and I should mention that you need to check with your local game to see if your particular LARP that you're playing in uses the special new Malkavian discipline that is not in the original World of Darkness. You can talk about all four if you want, or you can just gloss over the one that gets replaced. So, disciplines.
Okay, well, let's talk about the elephant in the room, demontation. All right? That's the crazy, crazy, crazy one. That is the power to infect others with madness. That is so intrinsically terrifying. Of all of the powers that exist in the world of darkness, that one is truly, I think, on a base level, through character into player, fear-causing. Because the highest level of that ability is welcome to 5 derangements, and for a lot of role players that means, please take my character sheet, I'm not here right now. It is almost the same as being staked in the heart and not having a character to play. That is a powerful thing, and it is line of sight, cats and kittens. So, when you're talking about, one of the more powerful disciplines in the game, I truly believe that it is right up there. It just offers all manner of things, and not just, obviously there's the combat potential of, yeah, sure, you try to use your intricate Tremere rituals on me while you're clawing your eyeballs out and speaking to your dead grandsire and convinced that you rule all of the other Wicker people. But then there's also the stuff where, I can see things, I can know things, I can learn things. You've irritated me in Elysium. I'm going to read the tea leaves of the outdoor flags fluttering in the wind to learn about your deep, dark secrets. And that is available to me as a Malkavian, and that's pretty terrifying. So I think that's a great discipline. It really makes them a force to be reckoned with. If they did not have that, I think they would be less for it.
Well, they'd have Dominate in that case, correct?
Dominate's great. It's mind control. And the difference between Dominate and Demontation is mind control, mind out of control. Right? What's more frightening? Having someone control you or being completely out of control? That's tough. Either is effective. Dominate is a very subtle discipline, or a very useful discipline if used subtly. Just dominate one. Sleep, submit, believe. Think about that. The last Malkavian that I played had both, learned over time, and used them quite subtly to affect real changes in the world, and it was a very powerful character. Mind control is scary. Mind control is, at the end of the day, well, I'm going to use the R word here, it's rape. If you don't want someone to make you do things, and they have the power to make you do things. One of my favorite stories, I don't recall the name of the book that it was in, was about a mind-controlling person who made a woman eat a bowl of soup that she did not wish to make. And that simple act of sitting there recognizing that she had no control over her life while this man was in the room broke her. She could not deal with that, and that was the end of that character in the story. Very powerful stuff. Very scary on a deep, intrinsic level. Talk about Auspex.
Solid play.
Auspex is great because if you're going to understand Malkavians, and that the other side of madness is perhaps that oracular ability to see beyond, Auspex folds very neatly into that concept, because now you see the hidden world. Now you understand intrinsically what has come before. Now you can see spirits. Now you can see, what is beyond. Your ability to hear better than anyone else. Your ability to sense danger. Those things come with the first dot. All of that is very extrasensory. All of that is very much what Malkavian is about, which is, I am tuned to things in which you cannot understand, but I also pay the price for that, which is the madness. And then obfuscate. That's what we're talking about, right?
Yeah, that's the third. Yep, that's the third one.
So if you are digging deep into the world of darkness, then shouldn't you also know the hidden places within it? And I think obfuscate, because of the similarities between Nosferatu and Malkavian in that they come up with knowledge that not every other clan has. The Malkavians do it differently from the Nosferatu. Nosferatu are digging in dumpsters, and Nosferatu are seeing what people flush, and Nosferatu are reading, old data files, and Nosferatu are, they have this network of informants, and they listen to the animals, etc., etc. Whereas Malkavians are literally sort of listening to the wind and hearing what's going on, and all of that happening in the shadows seems very thematically appropriate for Obfuscate. Also, there's a type of Malkavian that pretends to be crazier than they are, and there's a type of Malkavian that pretends to know more than they do, which is, I think, every type of vampire. But fun game, of course, is play the game where some big event happens, and then watch how many people claim that it was their machinations that caused that big event. Like in a LARP, that's just one of the more amusing things that just does happen every time. So,
from a, I know everyone says I don't metagame, but you do. It's unavoidable. From a metagame perspective, what is the most valuable or the most desirable out of clan that is reasonable? Obviously, Thom or Thanatosis is right out, but of the Cardinal 8, what is the most desirable out-of-clan discipline for a Malk player to want to have for their character?
It depends on the type of Malkavian that you're playing. If you're going to play a cult type, like, because there's the Malkavian that gathers the crazies, like the Pied Piper type, who collects all the other mad people, the street people, the people from the asylum, and they sort of, surround themselves with that madness. That's a good presence option. A little awe here and there is good. Dominate I like if you are playing a Demontation Malk. I do think that Dominate still fits very well within that, and Demontation if you're a Dominate Malk. Honestly, I think all four of those disciplines work really well. But I also think a little Fortitude isn't a bad plan, because sometimes if you're going to play the Fool, it's your job to fall. Like, if you want to make a point, sometimes you have to speak up, say that the Emperor has no clothes, and then take your licks, get beat for it, and in the act of that violence being done upon yourself, and there are actually merits in the book that support this for Malkavians where you don't feel pain, it's a good thing to have a little fortitude to be able to take it. It's an interesting reason to take fortitude, to get beat up on purpose. But I think sometimes the place of a younger Malkavian especially is to say these blasphemous things about what's really going on in the world, to expose the secrets of the world of darkness, to expose the secrets of the prince, to expose the secrets of the inner court in a way that makes everyone gasp, and then deal with the consequences.
Every venture needs to read How to Win Friends and Influence People. It's just required reading. You have to. Anybody playing a 8th gen character needs to read Machiavelli's The Prince. In fact, every vampire player should read it. It's really good. It's a great, because even though it's 16th century, it isn't weirdly written in any way. If you read it once it's been translated, he says, the Pope was wrong to do this, and here's why and why and why. Is there any reading that is not a World of Darkness supplement that every Malk player should read, or any media? Not necessarily movies, it's a little too easy, but any media that needs to be consumed?
Well, I talked about, good depictions of madness movies, but I think that the understanding that a Malkavian knows a little more than the average person it comes from research. I am huge into research for backstory. I'm huge into research for building a character's mythology. And so whatever your character's thing is, whatever their background is, they should know, I think, more than most people that are familiar with that setting know, down to the nth detail. Because when you speak about that with total clarity, and then, on the other hand, say something crazy, it makes you wonder how much this guy knows. When I was researching my last Malkavian who believed that he was hearing the city's wishes, what I did was I researched the city that he was part of. Its history. It's less than commonly known history. The history of its founders, the history of the back alley deals that were made to build the city up, the history of what buildings were bulldozed and where they used to be. And so when my character spoke of that place down the block, sometimes it would be a place that wasn't around anymore. But he remembered it, and he still saw it because he knew things about the city, and that was part of the concept of that character. So I think I'm not going to recommend a specific book for, explaining madness or explaining anything like that. I'm going to say, even if you don't take the obsessive flaw, be a little obsessive about your background research so that you just know too many things. You know too much. That I think is the most powerful atmospheric capability of a Malkavian.
Yeah, if you can talk extemporaneously about, car makes and models that aren't there anymore, about the 1940 Nash and its rumble seat, and then say, and the girl who was fed into the machine before it started running, it adds a little extra oomph to it. So
absolutely.
So any costuming advice? This is obviously a lot more for Toreadors and Nosferatu to worry about, but do Malks have a costuming regimen or a makeup regimen they need to consider?
Well, I think that if you want to go base Malk, you want to think about the Malk as a guy that lives in his mind. And so external appearance for a lot of Malkavians is not a thing. So as a player, what you want to consider is, how does a guy who lives in his mind take care of himself? Probably not very well. He probably doesn't clean himself. He probably doesn't bother with clothes. He probably doesn't consider his own appearance much. Simply speaking in a very genteel way while wearing completely disheveled clothes and hair leads you to know, without too much conversation, that that person has something wrong with them. And that, again, very atmospheric. On the second hand, your characters, depending on the type of Malkavian that you're playing, like right now, I know of at least one Malkavian whose appearance changes based upon what is going on in that character's world and the exterior world. And how they dress is really based on the exterior environment that they're involved with. So when they are part of the Primogen Council, they may dress more prim and proper. When they are with the Malkavian clan themselves, they may be full of color. When they are, withdrawing from society, they may dress in shrouds or cover themselves, etc. And so their changeability, their lunacy, will come out in their clothes. And that's a good way to do that if you have the means to do it. You could just as easily be stuck in time. I think if any vampires have the sort of anachronistic touch to be stuck in a certain era, that's a little bit on the edge of maybe not quite being masquerade safe, that the Malkavians can get a pass at that. Or they can wear completely modern clothes, and you could do some fun makeup where you have fake scars under every inch of your clothing that occasionally come out when you tear off your shirt and expose the universe, and the lies of the council, etc., etc. So I don't know. I think if you just want to do it easy, you keep in mind you're a guy inside your own head. If anyone from the nutty professor's bow ties, off kilter a little bit, right on up to the hobo who lives in the streets drawing, prophecy and blood.
All right. So this'll just about wrap up what we've got here.